Hey, this is Nathaniel from the Spread Effect Show. Today, my show is with Ricardo Figueiredo and Steve Peron, two friends of mine who own a company out here in San Diego called Elevated Search. These are two of the most experienced guys you're going to find in SEO, and they recently broke away from the agency world, the big agency world, to start their own company. So it's a good interview because they talk about strategies that they're using specifically with their clients and also in marketing their new company. We talk a lot about content, about how link building has changed, about how the value of certain types of links that you get has changed. They're starting to bake in some social media, and they've also got some cool on-page tips and tactics that any business, big or small, can use and learn from. So I hope you enjoy. We got a little threesome going on today on the Spread Effect Show. One guy on each side of me. I'm going to have to stop there. All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Spread Effect Show. Today I am joined by my two good friends, Steve Peron and Ricardo Figueiredo of Elevated Search out here in San Diego. Hi, guys.
How we doing?
Welcome. After 26 minutes of technical difficulties trying to figure out how to use Google Plus, Google Hangout, and Skype, we are here. I wanted to have these guys on because they've been in SEO as long as I have. They know just as much as anybody in the SEO game and just in internet marketing in general. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the topical things going on in SEO right now, but also to talk about their new company that they broke off and started earlier this year. They've, as I said, both been SEOs for a long time in different capacities, doing consulting, doing their own projects, working at agencies, and I really like their philosophy on how they're working kind of lean and mean with clients with Elevated Search as opposed to some of the ways that maybe some of the agencies do it. So we want to dive into that a little bit. First of all, guys, what is Elevated Search? Who is Elevated Search and what types of clients do you work with these days?
Murphy, you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, thanks for having us. You're a great friend to us as well, and an awesome local asset for the internet marketing community in San Diego. So
Thank you.
good to be on the Spread Effect Show. Elevated Search. The whole idea behind it is really to have a genuine a place that people who are really experienced with internet marketing can actually get their hands dirty with internet marketing. What we've seen in the agency world, and this is not really to say anything negative about agencies, but the better you get, the farther away you get from the campaign. And that happened with Steve and I. The more experience we got, the more we found ourselves really being in charge of administrating people and just not really being able to get dirty with the campaigns. So Elevated Search gives us a chance to get back in the trenches. Really be able to get in touch with and be in touch with what works and what doesn't. So Elevated Search is Steve and I. We're small. We have a small team. I mean, we have a business development side as well. We have a great relationship with Incubate, with Denny and Michelle, and our whole. I would say that what we stand for is that we're good at what we do and we're honest. So if you want to do something that we're not good at, we'll tell you, but we have great relationships with people that are good at what they do as well.
Very nice. And
one-stop shop.
what type of services you guys prefer? Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
No, actually, I think you're going to lead right into what kind of services that we offer.
Right.
Really, our number one offering is SEO. And the reason why is because we're damn good at it. That's what we've been focusing on for the last 8 years, specifically on. That's all I've done. I haven't done paid search. I haven't done media. All I've done is SEO for the last 8 years. Ricardo's project managed a lot of different types of internet marketing campaigns, but I think he's best at SEO as well. And that's the other kind of competitive advantage that we have over these bigger agencies is that a lot of times these big agencies are jack of all trades, master of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you sign up, you might just get a mediocre SEO campaign and maybe a really good paid search campaign. And, from our experiences, we really found out that in the agency lifestyle, a lot of upper management wanted to always make sure that you got clients in with multiple services. Well, the problem is that's not really real. That's not really what happens. The clients are looking for the experts in that field. And so, yeah, you might go to an agency that's really good at SEO, but maybe they're okay at paid search. Well, they're going to go hire another agency or a consultant to run their paid search campaign itself. And so having, multiple hooks in a client at an agency level is just not possible. That traditional agency of record it's kind of thrown out the window with internet marketing because you have to be so specialized. And I guarantee there's not an agency out there that is an expert at a very, very high level across all boards of internet marketing. And so we kind of cut our slice out as being the SEO expert. We can work with other companies and different internet marketing campaigns that they can do. But when you're doing SEO thumbs, that that's what we've lived and breathed for the last 8 years, and we're going to do it extremely efficient, for the clients that we have.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love that philosophy, and I totally agree that it's hard for any company to be totally the best at all those different things. I mean, it's just common sense almost. It seems like that can't be the case. So you mentioned getting dirty and the campaigns, Ricardo. What does that mean as far as like, specifically what you guys are able to do now that you weren't able to do before? Maybe, my impression is some of the things like, if you're talking SEO, some of the things on site that need to get changed, like cleaning up the URLs, the on site content, a lot of that gets passed down to maybe someone that just got hired for $10 an hour. What are some of those things that you're doing to get dirty that, you're able to do at a higher level, a more efficient level than maybe some of the agencies out there, or maybe just some other people, the way they're set up?
Yeah, that's a great point you make, Nate. And that's part of what we've seen, and that's what we see every day in business. And that just doesn't limit itself to the internet marketing per se or SEO, but you have the really experienced guys come in during the sales calls, but once the campaign starts, it gets handed off to a junior person who's hungry and not as well experienced. And yeah, there's very tedious work involved with SEO. There's very tedious research that needs to happen around, what kind of keyword phrases that we're going to really go after. What's our niche? What are the best topics that we can target through this campaign? And that's a stage in the process that you should have your most experienced guys on it. The thing is, it is a very time-consuming task to do to intake. Writing title tags, figuring out the on-page elements, all these basic things end up being done by entry-level people, and really they should be done by probably the most experienced guys in your team, because that's going to be the foundation of your campaign, your content strategy. You don't need someone to come and tell everybody what to do and let them do it. You need that person to do it themselves. So that's what I mean by getting dirty with the campaign. Steve and I will work hand in hand in these tasks. Steve hadn't done a keyword research at the agency. Gosh, like it was like a once or twice a year thing.
Yeah, it was very rare.
But then what happens? Sorry, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, so as an agency level, the director, I was more busy managing people and training people how to do the keyword research. But now, it's not a glorious, sexy type of job of looking at Excel files all day long. But you can call me kind of sick and demented, but it's actually kind of fun to really craft up the right campaign from the start. And, having that experience of 8 years doing it, you know how to do it right and pretty fast as well. So, something that might take a junior exec 8 hours to do, I might be able to get it done in 3 or 4 hours. So it's another way of being efficient, and bringing the cost down for the client as well. Compared to that agency level, there's a reason why they have that inflated costs beyond paying for the CEO's Lamborghinis. It's the inefficiencies within the production itself. So playing around in Excel and figuring out the right call to actions to use in title tags, and it can get pretty boring, but get some good music on and you kind of zone out and you get the work done, and you're really proud of the product that you give to the clients because it's the best that they can have.
Sure. So some of these down and dirty tactics you guys are mentioning, or go back to the beginning of SEO, title tags, that stuff hasn't really changed too much over the past 8, 10, 12 years. What are some of the tactics that are still the same and probably more interesting? What are some of the things that are happening in 2012 that you guys are doing maybe a little bit differently as you're going into these client campaigns and taking the whole holistic approach, which I do agree is great to have. If you guys were, if I was your client, to hear that you're going to do the top high level stuff all the way down to doing the title tags and stuff like that, I think that's what people want to hear, and it requires kind of that holistic approach in internet marketing more and more to be successful. So what are some of those things that have always stayed the same but more interesting? What are the ones that are new and different these days? Because I'm kind of curious too, because I don't get to get as dirty as I should.
Yeah, I think the on-page practices when it comes to SEO really haven't changed. You need to make sure that you have the relevant keywords throughout various parts of the website itself or the page for it to rank.
Right.
It's the basic principle that hasn't changed. The way you do it changes a little bit. I think one of the tactics that's still not even being used today is that when you're writing your title tags, I always call it, you got to write your title tags sexy because they are your ad copy. A lot of times people spend their time building these title tags, but it's like keyword pipe, keyword pipe, keyword pipe. And it doesn't look good when you're looking at the search results. In AdWords, you optimize your call to actions and what you use. So why wouldn't you do it organically? And so the way that we try to do it is we make it a little bit more conversational type of title tag and meta description itself, where we will include keywords, but then we'll include a very strong call to action, say, free shipping or check us out or best on the web. And that really can increase the click-through rate in the search engine result page. So say you might be sitting at number 8 and you change your title tags up and you make them look a lot more attractive. You're going to steal basically click-through percentage points from listings 1 through 7 because it is a lot more attractive. Especially when you get started up, if you start pushing that ranking up, through link building and other tactics, and you say you're at number 3, you might actually steal more traffic than the first page or the first result than, sitting at 3rd because your ad looks more attractive. A lot of those methodologies and principles that are used in paid search, quality score, you can directly relate that from a philosophy standpoint with your on-page optimization, with writing sexy title tags and meta descriptions to get that click-through rate up.
Sure. And do you feel you give up anything as far as the keywords that you might rank for, or your ability to rank for those keywords by going a little more conversational with your title tags? Or is it more of the school of thought that guys that start doing the keyword pipe thing, they're actually over-optimizing and may get penalized anyway, so it actually makes sense to go a little easier and also play up for that click-through?
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Yeah, it could be a bit of over-optimization or overkill. And so I don't think we lose anything because Google's gotten really good in the last 4 or 5 years about semantically understanding keywords. And so, plural versus non-plural doesn't matter as much these days. Or synonyms of keywords that, you could use cars or autos. It's going to pull up the same results a lot of the same times. And so you can actually get pretty creative with it and not take away the value itself. And with SEO itself, it's 200 different factors. And so, hey, maybe I am taking a little bit of a hit with the title tags having the call to action, but I'm going to gain points because of my click-through rate. So it's kind of a break even in my eyes.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention that the value of a click is a lot greater these days than it used to be with logged in tracking and just how much better Google is. Getting that higher click-through rate is something that can push you up above a competitor, where in the past it was more just algorithmic, I think.
Yeah, Google doesn't officially say that click-through rate is a factor
Right.
in your search engine rankings, but from our experience, yeah, exactly. From our experience, we can see that happening. And hell, it happens in paid search. Why wouldn't they take that same type of philosophy and add it to, or apply it to organic model? So,
Nice. So Ricardo, what other tactics are you guys using, in 2012 that maybe you didn't use in 2010 or 2009? Anything stick out?
Well, I think that as far as on-page optimization goes, just real attention to detail. It's easy for anyone to sit here and, go over every single possible on-page element that should be addressed. But the truth is that, a lot of companies, a lot of consultants, they cut corners. They go directly to your foundations, like the title tags, or they look at content. But it's really looking at we also have a list of that we try to compile of something that really, again, like Steve mentioned, those 200 items that Google's looking for. We don't have necessarily 200 things that we optimize, unless, of course, we find 200 things to optimize.
Right.
But we are very, very detailed in our recommendations, and these aren't things that, again, that aren't necessarily new, but that's new that we're doing that we just didn't have the bandwidth before with the amount of work and the environment that we were in before. Now, as far as what's new as well, it has a lot to do with the way that you link to a website. That's a hot topic in today's SEO world. When has it not been a hot topic? Backlinking is huge. So how do you backlink and how do you build a real powerful and yet clean and real backlink profile? And that's the key, and that's something that Steve and I have put a lot of work into, and continue to, working with guys like you guys and Spread Effect, to really help build this organic authority that's not just temporary, it's not rented or leased, it's really a foundation for a business, for an online business.
Sure.
That's part of the core of our strategy as well.
Yeah, and people, they say that content is king. Well, I look at it as then links are the queen, and we know who runs the family. The queen at the end of the day.
Nice.
And you talking about the link building, you have to be very careful of how you use your anchor text. Before 2-3 years ago, you could put exact match keyword phrases in all the links you build would get you rankings. Well, that doesn't look or that normal. Google's finally had some major updates with Penguin regarding this, but they were doing these type of penalties before they even named it Penguin, where they would penalize websites for exact match keyword over optimizing the anchor text. And we saw that. We have tactics how to get around it from especially if your homepage penalized. But the rule of thumb to use is to divide up how you use your anchor text. Maybe a third of the time use branded keywords, a third of the time you use partial match keywords, and then the other third of the time you use that exact match phrase, maybe even a little bit less. So come up with a percentage that you're comfortable on using. Just make sure that the exact match is no more than 30% of your campaign. You might want to even drop it down even to 15 and mix in a couple other types of phrases in your link building. One more kind of item to mention as far as kind of newer tactics is it's around the enhanced markup language or rich snippets or schema.org. It comes in various forms, and basically what that whole means is that, hey, you can get some pretty cool features or highlights in the search results. It might be your Google authorship tag where you have a face pop up. You might have a video thumbnail pop up next to your result. You might have stars that pop up next to your result. That's all going to help increase your click-through rate. So looking at the schema.org and Google authorship tag is becoming very important, especially the Google authorship tag. If you are a online news source, blog or magazine, that's almost a plus. I mean, the click-through rate studies that we've seen out there, I don't have the exact numbers, but of search results with a person's attractive headshot next to a search result compared to not is extremely high, and it's not hard to implement. And that's kind of another really new tactic that's helping increase traffic flow and authority to websites is the schema.org and Google authorship tags.
Yeah, I think it's a good one to bring up, and I'm curious as to how you guys maybe have implemented that with certain clients, because it certainly is very visible in the search results, seeing that, the pictures and the videos, and I've, seen this, and we were talking about this on another Spread Effect show, the click-through rate, and it's incredible. Kind of the same philosophy you're talking about with changing your ad copy. This just makes you stand out a lot more and get a lot more clicks. Where I start to see it maybe as a challenge is if you come into like maybe a boring business that maybe is, I don't know, selling auto parts and is not an online news or publication source. How are you guys approaching maybe some of your clients and saying, we want to add this, maybe we need to be a little bit creative by, adding a blog that we update and making you guys a news source, or maybe you guys adding some of those markups to just existing product pages or home pages to try to go for that new, snippet result and that click-through?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and that's exactly, just to tie back into something that we were talking about earlier, something that we're able to do now, that we weren't able to do before, to spend that much time with each client. And again, we're a small team. We're not looking to conquer the world and be the biggest company out there. We're looking to have a group of clients that are just great clients that we're making successful, and it's a win-win for everybody. So I'm not trying to do a shameless plug here. I'm just saying, but because of that, because we do have time to spend with our clients, because we don't have a huge roster of clients on purpose, we can get really creative with boring companies, going back to what we were just talking about as well regarding content strategies. When a lot of people say content marketing or content strategy, they're really thinking about, I need more pages, I need to create more gateway pages, I need to have a page for this, page for that, or I need a blog, I need to be blogging every day. And that's really not what we're doing now. I mean, we're helping our clients get into blogging if they're not, if it makes sense for them. We're helping them expand their content. But everything that we do is really revolved around higher quality. So, if taking that example against the auto parts, company, we would just spend the time to really see what that niche is looking to read, what they're interested in sharing, if anything at all, if there is a space for them in this new area of focus, in SEO.
Sure.
So yeah, and the other thing that we might do as well, if a lot of times we find that clients aren't really excited about blogging, and to get those Google authorship tags, you have to have a persona, someone that is real. And a lot of times they don't want their CEO blogging, or they don't have an individual to do that, nor do they want to build up so much authority in an employee and then to have them leave. That kind of makes their voice leave. So we have discussed, and we've deployed in some cases what we call kind of ghostwriters, where we develop this persona to be on the website. In the eyes of Google, it looks like a real person, so it's not a big deal. It's nothing malicious by any means. And so you develop this, persona for this car blog, and maybe some guy that you really just profile. Who would be the perfect person that we want to write on this? And you can create it up, have fun with it. You can pull. You'd have to obviously buy some iStock photos or some headshots, or get a model to do it, or whatnot, to pay for the attribution for the image, for the headshot and whatnot. You can really develop a persona that way and invest in doing that. And it's a really good way to bring a real voice to the company, even if it's fake, because it's still genuine in the intent.
Yeah, I like that tactic a lot, and we've done similar. And I think it addresses the issues that a lot of companies will have about being concerned about that person building themselves up. I think that's a great point, and them leaving. What about like the content itself? I know I've had conversations with companies where maybe they're in like the medical field, and we're good at SEO, we're good at content, but do I have an MD that's sitting in here that's going to write that stuff? How do you guys address like the client's concerns about content quality and maybe client approval of content? Because that can just make the whole process a lot more of a drag if they've got to review everything and get it up. What do you guys do to make that work?
We have a couple of instances that we have a couple of clients right now that we're actually actively building content from the perspective of the client. Because most of the time, even in our link building efforts, the content creation is really created from a third-party perspective, an average Joe blogger or a technology blogger. And
right.
Honestly, I mean, that person can say, or their opinion can be whatever. They don't need to be right every 100% of the time. But what we have done, and I'm not sure yet if this is the best way to do it, but we've found writers that are experienced in those fields. So we have a client now in the aerospace niche, and we have a pilot, a guy who's actually a hobbyist, and he has his pilot license, and he writes content for us for that client. We have someone in law that we actually have someone with law experience, a former lawyer who's now into internet marketing and writing content. So I mean, it's about just kind of establishing relationships with people who actually know what the heck they're writing about.
How are you creating those relationships?
I'm sure we're going to hit a niche that we're going to have a challenge with that.
Right.
Yeah.
How are you finding those people? Because I agree. I can understand that they're out there, and you posting jobs on ProBlogger, or are you posting on Craigslist? Are you going through, content houses and trying to weed people out? How do you address that challenge of finding these people, which you've done a good job at?
Well, we've done a little bit of everything. It's funny that you mentioned Craigslist. Kind of brings me another idea that we've done recently. One of the sites that we operate is a gaming site, and here's a subject that's very popular. It's very easy to find people who are passionate about video games and want to write about it. And here's a little tip of how you can get great quality free content from good writers. we started recruiting bloggers that wanted to build up their blogging portfolio through Craigslist. And we offer payment in unicorn tiers. And I can't tell you how many responses we got. I mean, we have a team of people writing great posts for this blog. the site, and it's all free. You know, they're happy to do it because they're building their writers, their blogging portfolio. There's turnover, of course, but you know, if you get into a niche that is popular enough, that people are passionate about, that you can find you know, a community around, you can get creative with things like that. Make it fun, make it engaging, and you know, one of the things that we kind of put out there as a reward was, hey, you can mention our blog, put us in your resume, we'll endorse you. You know, if you do write well for us, this is a staffing ladder for you guys. You know, now finding something more specialized, I really don't have a specific answer. There's no sweet spot that we go to. I mean, we found people from places like text brokerage by just putting a huge job out and going through, you know, dozens and dozens of pages until we found this one writer who really got it, and then pursued that person individually. We've gone to pro blogger. I mean, even Craigslist on a more one-on-one basis. So when we get specific, it really becomes a headhunting job.
Gotcha.
If you I think the only other resource that we might tap into is actually the client itself. You know, they might have an intern that might be working on there, or they have someone else that's really wanting to merge into this space of internet marketing, and blogging is a good way to do it. So, you know, we'll ask internally too if there's someone that can at least write. They don't have to be that persona, but at least they can provide the content behind it. And so, you know, sometimes the client itself is a great asset to look at, but a lot of times it's not the case. So we have to do all these different types of outreach to find the right person. So
right, interesting. So, I mean, you guys are SEO and marketing consultants. You help other people, you know, drive new traffic, new business, new sales. What do you do for your own business, for Elevated Search? What are the things that you guys are doing to promote Elevated Search, to have it grow? I mean, I know you don't want to be a gigantic company, but, you know, is there anything new and different you're doing? I know you guys did a video chat show recently. You know, what's your vision for how you're going to promote your brand and yourselves going forward?
That's a great question, Nate. I mean, you know, it's I think it's a weak point for many businesses, especially internet marketing, to not do what they preach. You know.
Yeah.
And we're trying to really be aware of that and be conscious to really, you know, again, apply to ourselves what we're doing to our clients, which is obviously working. So yeah, you know, doing exactly what you mentioned, just trying to be creative about how we put ourselves out there, just be really natural and organic about it. So we have our own little video chat series that we're starting out, where we're going to be, you know, kind of covering the hot topics in SEO on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, whenever we get around to do one. You know, being active in the community, sharing, and really having a voice. You know, the way that we started Elevated Search, as far as the business goes, through business development, it was really through relationships. We just had a lot of relationships with great people that were able to make the right introductions and get us started. You know, but now, I mean, if you ask me this question, which you are today, we actually have a SEO budget, a pretty good SEO budget that we dedicate to ourselves. So we do our own on-page optimization. We have a link building effort in place. We obviously are tapping into social through, you know, blogging and videos, and, you know, we have our Facebook and Twitter and stuff. But that's really what we're trying to be aware and conscious, really make sure we have our budget for ourselves as if we were our own client.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to add about that, Steve?
No, I mean, the social elements as well. Yeah, like, you know, making sure that we tap into the existing networks that we have, but then also making sure that, you know, we're active on Facebook and Twitter. And, you know, that they don't drive a huge amount of leads, but it just helps that social kind of credibility. The chat series are definitely there. We actually do something every week called the Link Buffet, where, because I read, you know, me and Ricardo, especially me, I definitely dedicate about an hour to 2 hours every day, more about an hour, to read all the top internet marketing news stories. And I cover the gambit when it comes to, you know, white hat blogs, to your gray hat, to your black hat, to an affiliate website, to really kind of get a feel of what people are talking about. And then I actually link to the top stories from our blog post every Friday. And, you know, we try to talk about the chat series that we're trying to start here, but we always dedicate, we'll have a post up every week that has links to, you know, top 10 different types of stories that are out there. Ricardo does some awesome illustrations of Matt Cutts as well, so we're going to try to do some link bait to get him into the site a bit by doing the best of Matt Cutts illustrations. You know, and besides our site itself, you know, we try to be diverse too, where we get our leads coming in from, because that's what's at the end of the day. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You know, being Google search traffic, right? So we do dabble in some paid search because it does have an ROI for us. But then we also have other properties that are really aggressive in their SEO, but rank. Yeah, you could call it a darker shade of SEO that we're practicing on some of these other sites to bring in leads, but we know that there's an inherent risk of being penalized. But we're okay with that because it is bringing in that ROI right now. Now, if it gets cut off, you know, Google penalizes the sites. You know, we understand that we got to start over or figure out a different tactic for those more aggressive sites. We don't use any of those aggressive tactics for our clients because we know there's that inherent risk, and we don't want to ever jeopardize a company's life, of course.
Right.
But for us, we can do that gambling into other areas and other assets that if they do get cut off, okay, cool. We understand that there was a risk. We got the return on it. That's fine. And, you know, if clients do want to dabble in something like that, a little bit more aggressive, we could set up other properties and go after that aggressive methods, just realizing if they know the full risk that can happen, that's fine, as long as they see that ROI or it's not for them. You know, a lot of times it's not for them, that's fine. But, you know, for us personally as SEOs, we can dabble in that to see how far we can push it and to really be educated. So it's almost like test sites that we can really be educated on the cutting edge, what the algorithms are actually doing, not what all the popular SEO bloggers are saying, you know?
Yeah, that's smart. I like it.
Yeah, if you wait until you read something on SEO Moz or Search Engine Land, I mean, it's great, but it's already happened, you know? So we're trying to, and that's something that's something that I've always done, especially with Steve. It's really been great always about keeping, you know, a set of assets that are just really test sites. And when they work, great, they're working for us, but again, they're tests.
Right. The link buffet, I like that. I'll have to start taking advantage of all your hard work and go read some of those posts. That kind of wrap it up here over the next couple minutes, but that's an important point to me too, is like if you're that in tune with you know, all the different blogs out there across the whole spectrum of SEO, you know, who are some of the people to be following these days? You know, I'm kind of out of practice myself. I mean, I think there's the industry standards, but you know, maybe who's an obscure one that's interesting? What are you seeing out there?
Let me pull up my list here. It's at my RSS reader right here. Let's see. In the other kind of space, let's see here. There's a couple different websites. Let's see, SEO Mofo. He does some interesting tests on title tag lengths. Let's see, Irish Wonder. He's an old school SEO that has some really good posts. That's irishwonder.com. Stunt Double doesn't post anymore, but when he did, that was really good. He's an old school guy. You know, SEO by the Sea, it is getting a little bit more mainstream, but Bill covers all the different Google patents that are out there, and that's where you can really learn what's behind the curtain. Let me see here. Let's see. Look underneath my black hat tab here real quick to see if I have anything to look under. You know, it's kind of interesting. A lot of the black hat type of blogs have kind of authoritative figures have kind of gone dark, as you can say. So they're not much around anymore. But, you know, the mainstream ones are still important to take a look at. You know, Search Engine Roundtable, if you just want, like, if I'm on vacation and I just need to get to know if anything major happens, Search Engine Roundtable, of course, is always a good one. You know, I think Mazda's got some good content out there as well. But, you know, it's nothing too advanced. SEO Gadget is pretty good with a lot of different Excel type of websites. So what I got off the top of my head, maybe I'll have to include a list of not so well known or what I could promote.
You just made my list of people to get on the show for me. Thank you. Just wrote all those down, saving me some time. Thank you. All right. Well, cool, guys. I appreciate you taking the time to come on to one of my early shows here. I think it actually went pretty well. That was incredible for the fact this is like the second one I've done, so I'm very excited. That was great content. And I'll have to come sit on the couch with you soon.
On the way that the video displays, where am I in relationship to you? Am I in the upper left and then right?
I think on the recording, like, you're like on each side of me, and I'm in the middle. So it's.
if I look this way,
I don't know. 50-50. Yeah, I think it's to your left.
high five. To the left.
There it is. Well, thanks a lot. I will be sending you one of these lovely Spread Effect shirts in the very near future for taking the time today, and I'm sure we'll be hanging out very soon here in sunny San Diego. Thank you, fellas. All right. See you, boys. Bye.